Oh, wow. It is really getting hot in the WNBA. There has been an ongoing campaign for transgender women who were born biological men to enter into the WNBA since the 2024 class was drafted. Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Camilla, Rakia, these young women in the 2024 WNBA draft brought new eyes to the WNBA. They're getting millions of views, TV views. They went from playing in high school gyms to now playing in arenas, NBA arenas. They went from coach buses to now having chartered private planes. The WNBA 2024 class gave new life to the WNBA. And instead of us talking about basketball, it's like there is some sort of a soap opera of the young and the restless, the dazed and confused, or even Peyton's Place, where we are speaking about everything other than basketball. Now, this campaign to have transgender men in the WNBA, the first time it was questioned was with WNBA former hooper, superstar, Dawn Staley. Dawn Staley, now the head coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks, the women's basketball league, who was undefeated for like 3 years. She was asked on April 6, 2024, what she thought about transgender women who are biological men entering into the women's sports. Here's what she had to say.
Dan Zakshesky, Outkick coach, you just talked about, what a massive weekend this is, obviously, for women's basketball, women's sports in general. One of the major issues facing women's sports right now is the discussion topic about the inclusion of transgender athletes, biological males, in women's sports. I was wondering if you would tell me your position on that issue.
Damn, you got deep on me, didn't you? I'm under the opinion of if you're a woman, you should play. If you consider yourself a woman and you want to play sports or vice versa, you should be able to play. That's my opinion. You want me to go deeper?
Do you think transgender women should be able to participate
that's your question you want
basketball?
Me to ask. I mean, you want to ask, so I'll give you that. Yes. So now the barnstorm of people are going to flood my timeline and be a distraction to me on one of the biggest days of our game. And I'm okay with that.
So after hearing that, 2 years later, former NBA player, center for the Knicks and the Celtics, Enes Kanter Freedom, is now identifying as a transgender woman and has said that he is going to enter into the 2027 WNBA draft. Very interesting topic. There's a lot going on here. Welcome to my podcast, Woke Guidance with Harriet Eve 9. I am your host, Harriet Eve 9. My commentary is my opinion for entertainment purposes only. Let's talk about this.
Come through, I think I need you. I swear it's time to keep these feelings to myself. Now you're the one I'm thinking of. My higher ground, my rocket love. For gravity, I'd rather stay up here. We can get away from cheap beach views on a night day. All I wanna hear is the images that we play. Staring next to you. Touching not to slow. How I feel about you. You wish away. You're the only one. I just wanna get away.
Now, here's the backstory of how we got to where we are today. On July 22nd, 2026, Indiana Fever shooting guard or small forward Sophie Cunningham was asked by reporters what did she think of transgender women who are biological men entering the league. And she disagreed that biological men should play in the WNBA. After all, the WNBA is a women's league. Here's what she had to say.
On that same vein, in that story with ESPN, you talked about wanting to protect young girls who shouldn't have to go against biological men. Just can you expand your viewpoint on that?
I mean, I think I said what I said. I think it's kind of common sense. And I think I'll always believe in that. I think it's really important to protect children. And that's little girls who are also involved in that category. And so I stand on what I said, and I always believe that.
Yeah. Do you see your advocacy on that, like, taking any form going forward?
You know, I don't know. I'm not a very political person, but I do have beliefs. I have morals, and I'll always stand on those and be true to who I am. And I think people are going to take it how they want to take it, but I've never even really said anything about that. And so when it comes just to protecting young girls in sport and women in sport, I feel very strongly about that. I think that's why you have Title IX. That's why you have some of the greats in women's sports. If Title IX and women's sports weren't protected, then you wouldn't hear about any type of women in sport. And so I think in the future, it's just really important to protect.
Do you think, I guess, along the line like that, it goes against perhaps, some people might say, hey, for the trans community, this could be something that could come back on us or be targeted against us. Like, how do you, I guess, view that sort of critique?
You know, like I said, I extend love, and I don't dislike anyone. Like, I think there's room for absolutely everyone here, and I think there's room to love everyone. And I truly think when you get people in the same room and you have conversations, you actually have a lot in common with a lot of people. And so I'm there to love, but I'm also there to love biological women, and I think that there are rights that need to be protected. And like I said, I'm going to stand true to that. I'll never falter in my beliefs in that, but I have never once said I hated the trans community. Like I said, I think there's space for everyone.
Now, Sophie didn't say anything that was rooted in hate or discrimination or exclusion. She spoke the truth. She stood up for her beliefs, and she even stated the Title IX law. Sophie has been an advocate for Caitlin Clark and having Caitlin's back as she has been bullied by the WNBA players. What did Caitlin do? Caitlin left Sophie hanging.
I think for us, like, you know, it's not really a discussion we really have in our locker room. I think it's for leagues and the governing bodies to work with their athletes to find solutions, but our focus is on basketball, and that's what we talk about and how we can get wins, and obviously we didn't do that tonight, so we need to find an area to improve in that way.
Do you have any, reaction to the...
I just answered for you.
Right.
Here is Caitlin Clark's teammate, Sophie Cunningham, saying that she was fine before for speaking out on Caitlin's behalf. And she's saying that Caitlin is definitely being targeted, and the league and the referees are doing nothing about it. She's on the Show Me Something podcast. Take a listen.
Well, so during real time last night, I did not see that happen. I don't, none of our team saw it happen, because I promise you, if we would have seen that happen, we would have had her back. Unfortunately, this type of shit happens every single game to her, and the league and the refs do absolutely nothing about it.
It's been a minute since you got fined on this podcast.
I have, but then like you see the videos of like literally kneeing and cheap shotting C in the throat. Like if she did that to any of our teammates, we'd be pissed. But like they're definitely targeting her, and the league and the refs do nothing to protect her.
So as you can see, Sophie is not afraid to speak up for herself, to speak up for her teammates, and to speak up for the league. She's also speaking up for young girls who are also playing sports and who are protected under the Title IX Civil Rights Act, Civil Rights Law. Now, what I find interesting about all of this is that Stephanie White, who is the head coach of the Indiana Fever, she is the head coach over both Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham. And she's afraid to say that she's against transgender women, biological men, entering the league. I'm getting to a point right now where I'm trying to understand, is this a women's league? What exactly is going on? Listen to Stephanie. She's literally afraid to even speak against the transgender women who are biological men entering the league.
What is your stance on men or athletes who test as biological male participating in women's sports? What's your personal stance?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would say that I'm educated enough from a scientific standpoint. I don't ever believe that exclusion is an answer. I just don't. I do think, when we think about various levels of sport, various governing bodies of sport and things that go into that, like I said, I'm not educated enough at the different levels. I know growing up, I played with the boys all the time.
So
there weren't girl sports.
Would you welcome a biological male in WNBA?
Again, it's like, I don't know, when we talk about biological male and scientifically where we are, I think it's a totally different scenario. As I said, I'm not educated enough in terms of transgender and transitioning to give you a smart answer. I would say, though, that I just don't feel like exclusion is an answer, and I think that we need to have deeper, more layered conversations.
And you'd be okay with them in the locker room?
Yeah. Is there any frustration, because you guys are in a really fantastic run, that this is distracting from that?
There is a frustration, of course, because we want to talk about basketball, and we want to continue to work on our game, and we want to continue to grow as a team. But I also understand, like, this is part of our growth edge as a league, right? It's part of our growth edge as a league, and we have to be able to manage. We have to be able to insulate as much as we can, and then we have to be able to lead with conversation. Hopefully, yes.
And so when I heard Stephanie say that she could not answer the question about transgender women who are biological men entering into the women's basketball league, because she did not have a scientific standpoint on the subject, and she was not educated enough on the subject, I immediately thought about now Supreme Court Justice I immediately thought about Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is now the Supreme Court Justice, during her confirmation hearing when she said that she could not define what the term woman meant because she is not a biologist. Listen to what she said.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
The meaning of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Senator, in my work as a judge, what I do is I address disputes. If there's a dispute about a definition, people make arguments, and I look at the law and I decide.
Well,
so I'm not.
The fact that you can't give me a straight answer about something as fundamental as what a woman is underscores the dangers of the kind of progressive education that we are hearing about. Just last week, an entire generation of young girls watched as our taxpayer-funded institutions permitted a biological man to compete and beat a biological woman in the NCAA swimming championships. What message do you think this sends to girls who aspire to compete and win in sports at the highest levels?
Senator, I'm not sure what message that sends. If you're asking me about the legal issues related to it, those are topics that are being hotly discussed, as you say, and could come to the court. So I'm not able to.
I think it tells our girls that their voices don't matter.
Now, anyone who has been paying attention to the WNBA knows that the WNBA has always been reactive. They've never been proactive. In the 30 years that this league has been established and funded by the men's NBA league, they have never been proactive. So after Enes Kanter Freedom said that he was publicly on X, formerly Twitter, said that he was going to enter into the 2027 WNBA draft. This is what the WBPA message said on X, formerly Twitter. Now, this is the Players Association. Here's what it says. To everyone who loves this game, the WNBPA represents 200 plus individual people with different lived experiences, culture, lifestyle, and opinions. We embrace justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Those are the values that unite this union and allow it to protect women's sports while creating transformable change. Hate abuse and demonization of any person or group of people, including transgender people, only fuel fear, division, and harm. We will continue to have hard conversations, but we will not be used as political pawns. Is that right? Support the players, support the fans at games, Notify security if you witness hateful, violent, or abusive behavior. Online, report abusive posts and drown out the bots and bad actors. At home, tell your elected officials to strengthen Title IX. Now, the WNBA stands for Women's National Basketball Players Association, which is the union for the WNBA. Now, instead of writing all of that, how hard could it have been for them to just simply say the WNBA is a women's league for biological women only? How hard was that to say, instead of writing up all of this extra stuff and this inclusion and all this other foolishness? The W stands for women. There's a reason that there is a WNBA. It's because women could not play in the NBA, which is the males league, biological men league. How come there's no biological women, transgender men who are biological women? Why are there none of them inside of these men sports, the NBA? Because they can't compete. They don't even compare. It's a joke. And when I listen to all of this stuff, all I can do is shake my head. How can you expect women who don't fight for themselves to actually fight for other women? Now, here is Enes Kanter Freedom's actual declaration on X of him declaring for the 2027 WNBA league, simply because he feels like he's a woman. This is a biological man, 6'10", 250. He feels like he's a woman. And simply because of that, he could enter into a women's sports. Take a listen.
After careful consideration and reviewing the current eligibility guidelines, I am officially declaring myself a WNBA prospect. If simply declaring who you are is all that's required, then I meet every single requirement necessary to compete in the WNBA. My team and I have carefully examined the WNBA's eligibility criteria and governing framework surrounding self-identification and inclusion. Based on the current guidelines, I can and am officially declaring my eligibility for the upcoming WNBA draft in May 2027. I am definitely not here to mock, make fun of, or disrespect any community or personal choices. I am simply asking that the current rules be applied equally to everyone. The rules that represent the very values many WNBA players and coaches have publicly advocated for. My team and I are prepared to ensure these guidelines are applied equally, consistently, and without exception. And I look forward to the WNBA honoring its stated principles. See you at training camp.
Go, Libby, go!